Bob said it the first time I heard it. It's 80% what you put in the pie hole. But I don't think Bob said it like that. But when you really think about it, you know, if anybody, you talk to anybody at work and you, oh, it's December 20th and I'm going to kick it first of the year. I'm going to start the first of the year. I got to get a gym membership. It's all everybody talks about. Oh, did you see that new fitness gadget? Did you see this? Everybody talks about, I got to start working out. What you really need to start doing is eating right. It's the biggest component. If anything slacked in my time away in the last year, it's not been nutrition. It's been fitness, as proven by how I feel today from working out with Jeff yesterday at his CrossFit gym. It hurts. So I haven't done everything right. Volumizing dishes. This is a big piece. How to take any dish and make it big. You don't need to eat flea-sized portions. I eat big portions. But it's the numbers that are in those portions. How do you volumize a dish to make it filling? That's a big piece I learned from here. Smart substitutions. I have some examples of some things I found outside of here that a lot of you have probably heard of. H3daily.com. First thing I check in the morning before I take a shower. I go out and check H3 Daily. I want to see what's posted. Hopefully it's another recipe from Jen. Or a Friday Fitness with Jeff Ford.
That's pretty
Maybe
good.
a little. Hey everybody. I love it. I've been waiting to take that shot actually. Meal planning. No more flying by the seat of your pants. You can't just say, I'll figure it out. You have to plan this out. That's when you're going to make mistakes. And never say never. This is another thing Bob talks about. Don't restrict yourself. I talk about buffalo wings, I talk about ribs and Chinese food and everything. I've eaten it. Okay, I haven't had any wings. I haven't gotten there yet because I found a substitution for that. But my kids say, Dad, are we ever going to go to a Chinese restaurant again? Sure, we can, but I'll find one that has a hibachi grill, and I'll go and I'll make a plate of vegetables about this big and some shrimp or chicken on there, and I'll tell them, cook it with water, not oil. And you just made yourself a big plate of food, and you're going to be all right today. You know, and your kids get to eat a little something special. Not too often, though. And be honest with yourself. Know your risks. If going to the hibachi is going to set you off and say, I'm going to have this plate of vegetables in the hibachi, or the Mongolian piece, but then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to have a little plate of this stuff too. If you're going to treat yourself and account for it, that's fine. But if you know that it's going to be a trigger for you, don't do it. I couldn't do it right away. This is only something we've done in the last 4 months, I'd say, or we've gone a couple times. And it's you have to be honest with yourself. Some kitchen tools. This was the first thing my wife bought. A little food processor. It's actually the model we bought. And high capacity. Make sure you don't have to do 10 batches in it. Do 1 batch. So when you need to slice up a stack of carrots and onions and green peppers and red bell peppers and onions, whatever you have to throw in there, you just do it all in one shot. It's got a big opening at the top. You can put whole or half an onion in there, whole tomatoes, cut in half a bell pepper, throw it in there. You don't have a lot of prep. It saves a lot of time. This has been one of the biggest keys in the kitchen. I don't see many dinners go by without this thing getting used. A good friend of mine that's been a guest here before, her name is Miss Bunn, she ordered me this as a gift. And it's been one of the greatest things. I use it religiously. It's a scale called Perfect Portions. They're maybe $40. But what I like about it is that it has a little book that goes with it, and it gives you a code to look up. You put on what you're going to put on there, you zero it out after you put the bowl on there, so you don't have to count for the calories in the bowl. You don't want to have the number too high. You want to get as much food as possible. Put your food on there, you punch in the number, and you can kind of see here, it's a food label that we all know. It tells you how much fat's in it, how many calories are in it. It tells you everything. So when I want to make a bowl of popcorn using my Presto Power Pop, which is pretty cool. This goes in the microwave, no oil at all. It has a little plate thing that goes in the bottom. Just put the dry popcorn in, throw it in the microwave. When I want that a little bit of salt, a little bit of popcorn, snacky stuff, even better than a 100-calorie bag of Quick Pop. I can get a lot more. You can tell I'm kind of all about making sure I get as much as I can, but not go overboard. So I put the bowl on the scale, I dump the popcorn in, punch in the popcorn number, and it tells me how many calories it is. So I can keep track of things. I still know where I'm at, that accounting. This has been one of the coolest things. And an atomizer, something we use frequently. We don't use a lot of oil. I'll talk about a substitution in a little bit. But an atomizer, if you've never seen one, you can put olive oil in, you pump it up, and it comes out in a little mist. So instead of doing that pour, and Jen's very skilled at going around the thing real quick and getting a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons. I can't. I get tablespoons. And at 120 calories a tablespoon, I don't like it. So that's a good little misting tool they're really neat to have. We have a couple of them. They're in glass jars, so some of them we have peppers in, so it treats the oil so you can get a little zip in your oil. So we have different flavors available to us. Breakfast whack. So this is a little story I'll tell you about breakfast whack. When I was here, I loved the food. And breakfast is no exception, because you have the hot breakfast every morning, you have the eye-opener oatmeal, which is great. But I saw this other gentleman that was here mixing this bowl of concoction together, so he kind of gets credit for it, but we're not going to give credit. And I said, well, what you making over there? This looks good, because it was a big bowl of food. And they have the yogurt bowl in there every morning, and they have the cottage cheese, and they have the fruit, and the cereal. And that's what it is. I use Fiber One Honey Clusters, which is a cereal, at least when I was here, they had in the place. Special K oats and honey is another good one. I try to look for something that's 100 to 120 calories for a 2/3 to a 1 cup serving. Half a cup of 1% cottage cheese, one of Jen's staples, and Jeff shakes his head. He says, I can't do it, man, I can't do it. But it's good. You don't even notice the cottage cheese if you're a texture person. And throw in some non-fat yogurt. Sometimes I make it like H3 does, where you buy just plain, non-sweetened, fat-free vanilla yogurt, and I add some Splenda to it, or Truvia, and add in some vanilla extract to flavor it up. If I don't have time or I'm not going to be home for that many days, I will buy like Activia light single serves are about 70 calorie. The Dannon, I think, are 80, the Light and Fit. And put that in there. The H3 version is healthier. It has less ingredients. If you look at even the Activia, it has a lot of ingredients. And if you kind of try to live with keep the ingredients under 5 or things you can pronounce, any of those methodologies, the H3 one is a lot better. But I for convenience, when I'm traveling and I go buy it, I obviously don't make a bowl of yogurt in my hotel room. I buy that stuff. And I top it with all the berries I can. And that's me making whack right there. Right in the Orr kitchen. We talk about some substitutions. This is something I discovered out in the real world called PB2. It's made at Bell Plantations. It does have less than 5 ingredients. They're all natural ingredients. I buy it on Amazon.com. It's powdered peanut butter. You reconstitute it with water, and it has 45 calories versus 190 in regular peanut butter. So if you're a peanut butter junkie like I am, this stuff is great. They even have one with cocoa in it, same calories, and so it tastes a little bit like Nutella if you like that. You can substitute this in... I've made one person happy. My job is done. You can mix it up ahead of time, whatever. What a great substitution. Another one, I found these tofu shiitake noodles. We use these a little bit. They don't have a lot of flavor, but they do volumize. You add some vegetables in there, about 20 calories in a 4-ounce serving. There's a couple of different brands. I like the House Foods brand. On the House Foods website, you can go out and find a list of grocery stores by state that carry them. Most of the Publix carry them if you're from the South. So those are some things that I've found for some easy substitutions. Getting rid of the butter, the oil, using stock. This is not my idea. This is Chef Jen just teaching us here. Using vegetable chicken or beef stock to simmer chopped up veggies to get them softened up in a pan. That always works great. Getting lots of beans and black-eyed peas are actually lower calorie than beans. If you want to add them to dishes to volumize, get that protein in there, good stuff. Quinoa. I'd never eaten quinoa. Anybody eat quinoa before they came here? Mm-hmm. Yeah? I'd never heard of it. But now we eat it all the time. It's a great thing to add to get a good addition to your food. And fill with veggies. Use that food processor. Fill up those dishes with veggies, and you can do them in every consistency possible. One of my favorite things is tacos. I love tacos. And so my wife came up with the idea, and I came home one night and she goes, I made tacos. I said, you're kidding me, right? What am I going to have, a half a taco? Seriously? And she says, no, just trust me on this. I'll give you the numbers. It's all good. She uses 1/3 the amount of meat, either ground turkey, extra lean ground turkey, or 93% lean beef, and then fills in with 2/3 in that pan with veggies she ran through the food processor, but instead of leaving them chunky, she pulverizes them in the food processor using a low blade until they're the consistency of ground beef. Season it up like you would any other tacos, hopefully something low sodium, and find some low calorie wraps. I find some 60 calorie ones. I can have a couple of those, maybe even 3. And the numbers are not through the roof. It's good stuff, and I feel like I am eating tacos. It's just mostly vegetables. You know, you don't even notice it. This is, talk about this a little bit. Controlling what you can. In the people I met here, we all had a common theme. Not all of us, a lot of us did. I said my weight gain began in 1991. That was the year my mom died. And a lot of other people have been here because of a death in the family. It's when their life goes upside down for whatever reason. Loss of a job, 100 reasons, right? So this was just a stretch in July, August, and September, and I blogged about this one day. So starting at the top in July, I was in Fort Lauderdale from the 10th through the 16th. I was home for a few days. On the 22nd, my father-in-law passed away. I had to DJ a wedding that night, which I normally do with my wife. Now I had to do that with my daughter, which was a little scary, because I need 2 people when I do it the way I do it. From the 23rd to the 28th, I had to attempt to run my house. That's not easy. My wife does all that. 29th, we're up in Duluth, Minnesota for the funeral. The 30th, I have to DJ a wedding in the farthest reaches of northern Wisconsin, just about on Lake Superior. I leave from there, drive all through the night. I have a 7 a.m. flight from Minneapolis to go back to Fort Lauderdale for the week. I fly home on the 5th. On the 6th, I DJ a wedding. The 7th, I fly to Fort Lauderdale. The 13th, I fly home. I'm home on the 14th with nothing to do. I slept. On the 25th, I fly to Richmond, Virginia. 18th, fly home to Minneapolis. I have off-site meetings on the 19th and the 20th. I have yet another wedding to do. This is a horrific schedule. Back to Fort Lauderdale on Sundays through Fridays, a day home again. And that was just the worst stretch I'd had in so long. What I took away from that was, I couldn't control hardly any of this. Some of these business trips weren't planned. We just bought a company in Florida. They said, you got to be down there. And I already took time off when my father-in-law passed away, so that's what bulked it up down here at the end. The one thing I could control was my nutrition. And that is the key. When life throws you curveballs, and it's gonna, control your nutrition. It's the only thing you've got to grasp on. Everything else is just going to keep tumbling at you, and absorb it. Take it for what it is and move on, but don't waver on the nutrition. You can bet I didn't get a lot of workouts in some of those weekends. You can bet that I didn't have the time. That's a real factor that happens. But control what you can. Always think about that. And planning. Meal planning at home. There's classes, courses here on it. If you didn't get to attend one on H3 Daily, there's workbooks and everything to help you with your meal planning online. So if you don't get to it here, get to it when you get home on H3 Daily. Meal planning on the road. Arm yourself. Nutrition information on restaurant websites. Calorie King. Live Strong. Track your meals. I'm going to be honest, I don't track what I eat right now. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit, why that could be an issue. And treating yourself. I said never say never. Don't say I'm never going to eat that again. I'm never going to eat that Dove chocolate. Never going to eat ribs. Know yourself, know the risk. I talked a little bit about that earlier. And vacations. I went to Disney in November, and we were on the free dining promotion. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Disney on their dining plan, but they're all about the food. It's desserts at every meal. It's anything you want. It's a pretty good deal. So, kind of chatted with Jeff about it a little bit. I said, what do you think I should do? Should I live it up a little bit? Know your risk. How are you going to do? Now, you're walking a little bit at Disney. In 8 days, we walked just short of 85 miles, I think, for the pedometer. It was pretty cool. So you are burning a little bit extra. But I did eat what I wanted. I had ribs, I had cheeseburgers. It's not my life anymore to eat like that. But I did it. And I wanted to see how I did. I wasn't concerned about the risks because I knew I would get back on. I'm dedicated to this lifestyle. By the end of about the 6th day, I was starting to crave something veggie-filled. I was feeling that lethargic feeling of eating heavy foods and going, I could just eat a carrot. Anybody got a carrot? Really wanted one. Holiday